Have you ever noticed how some people get everything they want, not because they're smarter, richer, or luckier, but because they walk like they already have it? Their energy feels different. They speak with quiet certainty, not hope. And the crazy part? Life starts rearranging itself to match that belief. That's not coincidence, that's the act-as-if effect. It's one of the most powerful law of attraction principles. Not about faking it, but about embodying it. Acting like the version of you who already lives the life you dream about before the proof shows up. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your identity. And when you start behaving, thinking, and feeling like the person who already has what you desire, reality doesn't have a choice but to catch up. So in this video, we're not going to wish or wait. We're going to learn how to live like it's already done. How to train your subconscious mind, your energy, and your environment to reflect the version of you that already exists. Trust me, once you master this, your future won't take years. It'll start unfolding the moment you start acting as if. What acting as if really means. Let's be clear. Acting as if doesn't mean pretending, forcing fake confidence, or lying to yourself in the mirror until your voice cracks. That's not manifestation, that's performance. And the universe doesn't buy performances, it reads energy. Acting as if is about alignment, not acting. It's the moment you start carrying yourself like the person you want to become. Not because you're trying to trick life, but because you've decided that version of you is already real. Think about it. Every version of you already exists somewhere in potential form. The confident you, the wealthy you, the peaceful you, the one who finally stops overthinking everything. Those versions aren't waiting to be invented. They're waiting to be chosen. And you choose them not by hoping, but by behaving like them, consistently. When you start acting as if your dream has already happened, you're not faking anything. You're shifting your identity. You're saying to your subconscious, this is who I am now. And since your subconscious doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality, it begins rewriting your habits, your emotions, and even your opportunities to match that belief. It's the same reason an actor can cry on cue or feel fear in a movie scene. The mind believes what it feels, not what it knows. So when you feel like the person who already succeeded, the universe starts echoing that energy right back at you. For example, someone who acts as if they're already financially stable won't panic every time their card is swiped. They'll plan, save, and make choices from calm expectation, not desperation. Someone who acts as if they're loved won't chase validation. They'll radiate confidence that attracts it. This is what acting as if really is. It's emotional rehearsal for the life you're building. You're teaching your body and mind to exist in the vibration of already having. So no, you're not pretending, you're previewing. And when the preview becomes your default state, life stops being a waiting room. It becomes a reflection, because once you begin living like it's already yours, the question isn't if it will happen anymore. The question becomes when, why it works, the science and energy behind belief. Let's be honest, acting as if sounds almost too simple, like some self-help trick that couldn't possibly have depth behind it. But beneath all the spiritual language and manifestation talk, there's actually a powerful mix of psychology, neuroscience, and energetic logic at play. When you act as if you're doing something your brain absolutely loves, you're giving it certainty. The subconscious mind doesn't respond to what's true or false, it responds to what's consistent. When you repeatedly behave, think, and feel like your dream life already exists, your brain assumes it does. It then starts filtering your perception through something called the reticular activating system, RAS, to find proof that matches that belief. It's like when you buy a new car and suddenly see that same model everywhere. Did the universe suddenly flood your city with identical vehicles overnight? Of course not. Your attention just got tuned to that frequency. The law of attraction works exactly the same way. You tune your inner focus toward a new reality, and suddenly that reality starts appearing everywhere you look. Psychologically, this is called cognitive alignment. Your mind hates conflict between belief and behavior. If you believe you're abundant but act like you're broke, your brain feels that mismatch and self-sabotage begins. But if you start acting in harmony with what you believe, everything syncs. That's why acting as if feels so powerful. It removes friction between your thoughts and your actions. Energetically, it's just as logical. Every emotion carries a frequency: gratitude, confidence, excitement, calm. When you live in those states before success arrives, you're broadcasting the same energy as the version of you who already has it. The universe doesn't wait for proof. It mirrors energy. Here's the secret most people miss. You don't attract what you want, because wanting means lacking. You attract what you expect. So the moment you begin expecting success, love, clarity, and behaving like it's already here, you become a match for it. It's not pretending, it's preparing. You're rehearsing your future until it becomes your present. In short, your brain sees it, your energy feels it, and your reality reflects it. That's why belief is the bridge. It connects imagination to manifestation. And acting as if isn't just the bridge. It's the first step across it. How your environment shapes your belief system. Let's talk about your environment. The one thing most people ignore while trying to change their life. They'll visualize, affirm, journal, and talk to the universe, but they'll do it sitting in the same messy room, surrounded by the same energy, complaining about how nothing ever changes. Here's the truth. Your surroundings are not neutral. Every object around you, every sound, every scent, constantly reinforces who you believe you are. Your environment is a mirror, and your subconscious studies it 24/7, like a script. If the scenery doesn't match the movie you're trying to live, your brain won't believe the plot. Look around right now. What's your space saying about you? Are you someone moving toward clarity, abundance, and focus? Or someone living on autopilot, coexisting with clutter and calling it vibes? It's not about aesthetics, it's about identity. The person you want to become already has an environment that matches that mindset. You can't expect your mind to feel abundant while your space screams chaos. You can't visualize new beginnings while sitting in the energy of old habits. Here's the psychology behind it. The human brain associates familiarity with safety. So if your surroundings constantly reflect the past you, your subconscious will resist becoming the future you. The quickest way to rewrite your inner identity? Change what your eyes see every day. You want to feel like a professional? Organize your workspace like one. Want to attract love? Create a space that actually welcomes it, not one that looks like a storage room for loneliness. Want to feel calm? Stop living in visual noise and calling it creativity. Every time you upgrade your environment, even slightly, your subconscious gets the message, we're evolving. And it responds by generating thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that match that new frequency. It's like updating your operating system. Suddenly, the old apps stop crashing. Here's a little secret successful people understand. They design their surroundings to remind them who they are becoming. Everything around them is a trigger, not for distraction, but for direction. Your mind follows patterns. Your environment creates them. So if your goal is to act as if, start with where you exist. Because when your surroundings begin reflecting your vision, your belief doesn't need convincing anymore. It becomes self-evident. And from that moment on, every step you take doesn't just feel like progress. It feels like coming home to the version of yourself that's been waiting for you all along. Creating your future self blueprint. Now that you know your surroundings whisper to your subconscious, it's time to decide who those whispers are about. Acting as if starts with building a clear image of your future self, not some vague Pinterest vision board fantasy, but a living, breathing identity you can step into every day. Close your eyes and meet that person for a moment. What do they value? How do they move through the day? What do they tolerate? And what do they no longer entertain? This isn't about what they own, it's about how they operate. Let's break it down like an architect designing a house. Blueprint number 1, habits. List 5 things your future self does regularly that the current you keeps postponing. Maybe they wake up early without groaning, read instead of scrolling, or handle money without fear. These aren't goals, they're defaults. Blueprint number 2, emotions. How do they feel most of the time? Grounded, grateful, decisive. You can't manifest peace while marinating in chaos, so write down the emotions you'll normalize. Blueprint number 3, focus. What consumes their attention? People with direction don't chase every impulse. They protect their energy like a limited edition item. Blueprint number 4, speech. Listen to the words your future self uses. Do they complain or do they create? Language is mental software. Upgrade it. Here's where most people mess up. They try to leap from their current life straight into a fantasy one. Don't. You build identity the way you build muscle. Repetition, not revolution. Start by installing micro-behaviors that belong to your future self. Dress slightly better. Speak with 10% more confidence. Schedule your time as if your dreams already hired you full-time. Think of this blueprint as GPS coordinates. The moment you program them, every small decision, what you eat, watch, read, say, either moves you closer or farther. The blueprint doesn't judge, it just measures alignment. Within a few weeks, you'll notice something strange. The old version of you will start feeling uncomfortable, like shoes a size too small. That's the sign you're upgrading. Keep walking. Because once your actions, emotions, and environment begin matching that blueprint, acting as if stops being an exercise. It becomes a state of being, and the future self you once imagined becomes the one running the show. Start small, micro behaviors that reprogram the mind. Everyone loves a grand plan, new journal, new morning routine, maybe a $300 water bottle to prove commitment. But transformation rarely begins with fireworks. It begins with micro behaviors so small they almost look silly. Your subconscious doesn't care about scale. It cares about consistency. The brain rewires through repetition, not resolution. When you take tiny actions that match your future identity, you're whispering new instructions to your nervous system. This is who we are now. For example, instead of declaring you'll meditate an hour every day, start with 3 minutes. Just enough to remind yourself you're someone who centers before chaos. If you want to be fit, don't buy a full gym membership. Take a brisk 10-minute walk and actually finish it. Want to feel financially stable? Round up loose coins, clear an old debt of $20, or review your accounts without panic. These micro acts carry a loud message to your subconscious. Stability is already here. The secret is momentum. Big leaps trigger fear. Small steps slip past the ego's alarm system. Your mind thinks, this is easy, we can do this. And the new behavior installs itself quietly, then another and another. Soon the person who once struggled to change has become unrecognizable. Not through one heroic sprint, but through thousands of invisible inches. Here's the paradox. Small steps feel insignificant, yet they're the only ones the subconscious actually trusts. Dramatic overnight changes smell fake. Gentle repetition feels safe. Every tiny action performed in alignment with your vision sends proof to the universe and to your biology that transformation is in progress. So act as if, but in bite-sized pieces. Tidy one corner instead of the whole house. Speak one confident sentence instead of forcing endless positivity. Choose water once instead of redesigning your diet. Do that enough and your brain stops seeing these as new. They become normal. And once something is normal for you, it's permanent. Because you don't reprogram your life in a single leap of faith, you do it in micro movements that whisper louder than any grand declaration. I've already changed. Aligning your emotions, not just your actions. Here's the part people love to skip, the feeling. You can dress like your future self, speak like them, even rehearse their routines. But if you're doing it with anxiety, doubt, or frustration buzzing underneath, your subconscious knows the truth. You can't fake vibration. Acting as if is not just behavioral alignment, it's emotional calibration. The goal isn't to mimic what the successful version of you does, but to feel what they feel. Calm, certain, grounded, fulfilled. Those emotions are the real frequency the law of attraction listens to. Think about it. Have you ever forced yourself to smile while secretly irritated? People pick up on that mismatch instantly. The universe works the same way. It doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you broadcast. So instead of chasing constant positivity, aim for emotional congruence. When your actions and emotions match, you become magnetic. If you visualize abundance while secretly feeling scarcity, the signal cancels itself out. But if you perform a small action, say paying a bill, with gratitude instead of resentment, you're sending a crystal clear message. I trust money. I'm safe with it. That's alignment. A useful trick is emotional rehearsal. Before taking any action, pause for 10 seconds and imagine how the fulfilled version of you would feel in that exact moment. Not what they'd say, what they'd feel. If it's confidence, summon that. If it's relief, breathe that in. It's not fantasy, it's neuroplasticity. You're training your nervous system to treat peace as the default instead of panic. Here's where sarcasm meets truth. Most people say they're manifesting love while simultaneously hating everyone on their contact list. Or they affirm success while emotionally living in survival mode. That's like trying to tune your radio to jazz while blasting death metal. You won't hear the right song until you switch the station. So when you act as if, let emotion lead the choreography. Feel first, act second. Because the mind obeys the heart, not the calendar. When your emotions and actions finally speak the same language, life stops testing you and starts responding. That's not magic, that's coherence. Rebuilding your outer world to reflect the inner change. By now your inner world is shifting, new thoughts, new emotions, new confidence quietly forming under the surface. But here's the deal, if your outer world doesn't keep up, the old energy will drag you backward like quicksand in fancy shoes. Your space either fuels expansion or feeds inertia. It's the reason people deep clean their rooms after a breakup or rearrange their desk before starting a new job. They're instinctively syncing their environment with their identity upgrade. Start simple. Open your closet. Is it full of maybe someday clothes? Those represent indecision. Replace them with items the future you would actually wear. Not designer, just decisive. The goal isn't perfection, it's coherence. Next to your workspace. That stack of half-read books and expired receipts isn't neutral background decor. It's a visual to-do list whispering unfinished business. Clear it. Leave only what supports focus, creativity, or calm. The subconscious adores symbols. When it sees order outside, it assumes order inside. Apply this logic everywhere. Kitchen, food that energizes, not numbs. Phone, apps that inspire, not drain. People, conversations that expand, not shrink. None of this is about minimalism for Instagram. It's energetic hygiene. Every object carries memory. Keeping clutter from past versions of yourself anchors you to them. When you release what no longer fits, you create vacuum. And nature loves filling a vacuum with something new. Don't wait for motivation. Build it into your surroundings. If your goal is peace, make your environment quiet. If it's wealth, surround yourself with symbols of stability. Plants thriving, bills organized, broken things fixed. If it's love, create space for another soul to exist beside yours, literally and emotionally. Soon you'll notice your behavior adapting automatically. You'll walk differently in a space that reflects your future instead of your past. That's the real secret. External change isn't decoration, it's declaration. You're telling the universe, look, I've already moved in. Dealing with doubt and resistance. Let's get real for a second. No matter how spiritual, disciplined, or positive you are, doubt will still show up. Resistance is not a sign you're failing. It's proof you're evolving. Every time you shift your identity, the old version of you fights to survive. It's not evil. It's scared. Think of your subconscious like a protective bodyguard who's been following the same rulebook for years. Keep them safe by keeping them the same. So when you start acting like your future self, that bodyguard panics. Suddenly you're doing things that feel unfamiliar. New habits, new mindset, new environment. And your subconscious yells, what are you doing? We've never done this before. That's when you feel resistance, the procrastination, the self-doubt, the random urge to binge old habits just because they're comfortable. This is not the universe testing you. It's your nervous system recalibrating. Here's how to beat it. Expect it. You don't fight resistance by pretending it's not there. You neutralize it by recognizing it for what it is. A sign that the old version of you is losing control. Every time you push through that tension, even in small doses, you're proving to your subconscious that the new identity is safe. Another key, stop labeling bad days as failure. They're feedback. Growth doesn't look like a straight line. It looks like a heart monitor, ups, downs, but always alive. When doubt hits, zoom out. Remind yourself, I'm not going backward, I'm integrating. And don't underestimate your emotional memory. Your old self thrived on fear, scarcity, and struggle. It was addicted to chaos because chaos felt normal. When peace starts replacing it, your system feels uncomfortable. That's the irony. Calm feels scary when you're used to crisis. So instead of fighting resistance, observe it. Treat it like background noise. Keep acting as if anyway. Calmly, consistently, without drama. Because here's the truth. The old you doesn't need to be destroyed. It just needs to retire. Eventually, doubt fades. The protective voice quiets. And that's when you realize the discomfort you once avoided was actually the sound of transformation. Resistance doesn't mean stop. It means you're getting close. So here's the truth. You were never trying to create a new version of yourself. You were only remembering one that already existed. The act as if process isn't about becoming someone else. It's about removing everything that's been convincing you you're not already that person. Every time you meditate, visualize, declutter, or shift your emotions, you're peeling off layers of noise that once hid your natural alignment. You're not manifesting from lack. You're revealing what's always been possible. The future you isn't waiting in some distant reality. It's standing behind the wall of your own hesitation, whispering, just act like me for a while, and you'll see. When you act as if, you collapse the distance between the dream and the doer. You speak differently, walk differently, choose differently, and people around you start noticing. They say things like, you've changed. But the truth is, you've just stopped contradicting yourself. The version of you that's successful, confident, peaceful, abundant, that version doesn't live in imagination. It lives in identity. When you carry yourself like them, you give the universe a clear instruction. This is who I am now. And the universe, obedient as ever, rearranges itself to agree. The small daily habits, the emotional alignment, the new environment, all of it adds up. One day you'll wake up and realize you no longer have to act as if you are it. The pretending fades, the performing stops, the effort dissolves into ease. That's when you understand the real law behind attraction. You don't attract what you chase, you attract what you embody. So stop waiting for permission, stop waiting for signs. Decide who you already are and start living from that frequency right now. Because the second you do, reality bends quietly in your favor. Not because you begged for it, but because you finally became the version of yourself that stopped asking.